completely forgot to mention this, but you only need to listen to like the first 15 minutes or something of the audio to get what Valorant is, how it's played. The rest of it is mostly for the team histories, so you don't need to listen to that. But if you just want to know how Valorant works, the first 15 minutes is fine. Hi, so this will be an audio or video explaining Valorant. I was thinking that I talk about Valorant sometimes on my audios. So if someone is interested in if someone is interested in Valorant, or in general like interested in knowing what I'm talking about, this audio will explain about Valorant. There will be two parts basically. The first will be briefly explaining what Valorant is, how it's played, and second will be going in detail on firstly all the teams in VCT and also the agents that are in Valorant. So one second, I have my notes here. So firstly, Valorant is, if you have heard of Counter-Strike and Overwatch, CSGO also known as, and Overwatch, these two games are very similar to Valorant in some ways. The game itself is similar to Counter-Strike, the way you play, whereas the art style and some other stuff is similar to Overwatch. Okay, so when you're playing Valorant, it's basically a 5v5 game. So there are 5 people on either team and you have to win. So you basically play a number of rounds and you have to win each round. Whoever gets 13 rounds first wins. So for winning each round, there are 2 teams, attackers and defenders. The attackers have to plant a bomb, or known as a spike in this game, in a place. So basically you are playing in a map. The map is divided in 4 sections, you can say roughly. The attacker spawn, where the when the game starts or the round starts, the attackers are there. The defender spawn, and site A and site B. Some maps have a third site, site C. So there's A, B, or sometimes C. The goal of the defenders is to prevent the attackers from planting the spike and spike exploding, and the attacker's goal is to plant the spike and have it detonate. Alternatively, they can kill the other team, like they can eliminate them completely, or they can run time. So basically, if the defenders defend the site for long enough that the attackers don't get to a site in time, so there's I think 1 minute 40 seconds. So if they don't get, basically 100 seconds, if they don't get to a site in time, then they lose, the attackers, and the defenders win. Vice versa, if they plant the spike and the defenders, so defenders have a option to defuse the spike. Like they have to defuse the spike if it gets planted. If they can't do it, then they lose as well, the defenders. So that's one more way you can do it. So again, just to recap, the defenders can either eliminate the attacker team, they can defend the site for long enough that attackers don't have time, or once the attackers have planted the spike, they can defuse the spike. Once the spike is planted, basically it takes 45 seconds for it to explode, and it takes 4 seconds to plant the spike and 7 seconds to defuse the spike. And you can defuse the spike in 2 stages. So you can the first one takes 3.5, so basically half the time. So if you diffuse the spike in so if you hold the diffuse button for 3.5 seconds, you basically mark a checkpoint, you can say. So you can, the next time you only have to spend 3.5 seconds diffusing the spike. I also didn't mention, basically the way Valorant works is you are controlling a character, you can move them around and you can shoot with a gun. That's the main way you can play. There's also a knife that sometimes people use. It's basically, knife is faster, like in terms of movement. So if you're running and you know that you're not going to be shooting at someone, you can use your knife to like run faster, and you can kill someone with the knife as well. It's like a kind of a what do you call it, a funny way to kill someone. So it happens sometimes, not as much, but it happens sometimes. Okay, so just to recap, a round you have to, as a defender, either defend the site for long enough, eliminate all attackers, or defuse the spike. As a attacker, you have to eliminate the defenders, or plant the spike and protect the spike till it explodes. So there's no draw in this. Whoever gets to 13 first wins. If there is if both people reach 12, right? So basically you have to win with a 2-round lead. So you can't win 13-12. You have to win 13-11 or any of that. So if someone reaches 12-12, then it goes into overtime. What overtime is basically is they play switching sides. So attacker, oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. After the first 12 rounds, they switch sides. So whoever was attacking is now defending and vice versa. In overtime, they switch every round, and whoever wins 2 rounds in a row wins. So basically overtime wins usually look like this: 14-12, 15-13, 16-14. So basically even or odd numbers. Okay. So I'll talk about the map. As I said already, map has 2 spawns, attacker spawn, defender spawn. This is where the 5 players will come start from. Then there's A site and B site. There are many lanes and many divisions in the map, so you have to basically take control of different areas of the map. Defenders, because there are 5 defenders, they have to spread across the map, and there are 5 attackers. They can go together. So if you think about it, defenders can't be 5 at a place, right? So in theory, attackers have the advantage that they can just all go in one site and they can take the site. But as a compensation, defenders have tools that can help them. First of all, it's inherently better to like hold an angle. So basically, if you just defend something without moving, you are in an advantage. So that's one thing, but they also have tools, so which I'll talk about now. First of all, guns, as I've mentioned, there's a whole economy. So every round you can buy things for period called buy period. So during that period, you can't really go anywhere other than your spawn. Once that period is over, you can start the game, so you can basically shoot at each other or whatever. Again, this is a tactical shooter, so basically this is FPS, if I didn't mention, first person shooter. Because this is a tactical shooter, the idea is like you play mind games with the other team, you strategize and stuff like that. So I'll try to finish this briefly. So there's an economy. Basically every round you get money based on what you did last round. If you lost, you get less money. If you win, you get more money. The idea is if you lost, you should save another round. So basically give up another round to the other team so that you can have good weapons in the next round. So that's called saving. There is force buying, which is, you don't have enough money to buy good guns, so you buy bad guns and you fight. I'll mention the few weapons that are very important. There's a classic, which is the free weapon that you get. It's not very good, but it's decent. The sheriff, which is basically the cheapest but best weapon there is. So basically it's a cheap weapon, it's a very good weapon, but it requires a lot of skill and luck to play with. There is the Phantom and Vandal, which are like 2 weapons that are the main rifles that you buy. These are the main weapons that everyone plays with. There is the Operator, which is basically a sniper rifle, which is very, very expensive, but can be very useful as well. But it requires a certain skill to play, and for both teams, like if you know the opponent has bought a sniper, you have to play a certain way, and the sniper themselves have to play a certain way, because it has disadvantages as well. Like it's slow, but it kills anyone in one hit. And there is Odin, which is a weapon that fires, it's like a minigun basically. It fires a lot of bullets, but it's harder to control. It's a bit weaker, and it takes risks to use and skill to use, and it is also very expensive, less expensive than the Operator. Then there's abilities. Also, there are agents in this game that you can pick before the match starts, which you have to use throughout the match. Each agent has 4 abilities. One is called the Signature, which refreshes every 45 seconds or something. Then there are 2 abilities that you can buy, and the third ability is an ultimate, which you have to get via certain ways. These abilities, so I'll tell the basic abilities in Counter-Strike, and the other abilities I'll explain in the later section. In Counter-Strike, there are 4 types of grenades, which are basically abilities. There is a smoke grenade, which blocks vision but not bullets. There is a flash grenade, which temporarily flashes anyone. So basically, if you look at the grenade as it explodes, you will not be able to see anything for a couple of seconds and not hear anything for a couple of seconds. There is a Molotov grenade, which basically lights the ground on fire for a few seconds. And lastly, there is a explosive grenade, which just explodes and deals damage. Okay. So Valorant abilities are sometimes unique, sometimes very similar to the CSGO abilities as well. Okay, I think this is it. As I was saying, there are agents as well. There are 4 types of agents. There is a controller who specialize in smokes. There are initiators who you can think is specialized in basically different types of flash grenades. There is sentinels who specialize in molotovs, and there's duelists who specialize in unique abilities. So as I said, controllers just do smokes. Initiators, their job is to get through smokes, so they can kind of cancel out smokes. Sentinels, they defend the site, so basically they deny space. So kind of in a way they cancel out initiators. And duelists, they just take fights, and they have tools that help them taking fights. So this is it for the Valorant in general. Now, as I said, I'll talk about the agents first individually, and then I'll move on and talk about the VCT teams. Actually, I should talk about VCT first. So I'll just briefly mention what the format of VCT is. So the format of VCT is basically for the whole year you have 3 international events, and between those 3 international events, before those 3 international events, you have regional events. So there are 5 trophies. So there are 5 trophies, I guess 5 or 6 depending on how you look at it, trophies to win. I think 6 trophies. So 3 regional trophies and 3 international trophies. So for example, I'll talk about this year. This year, the first event was Kickoff, which was the first regional event that happened. Then whoever wins in Kickoff and the second place goes to Madrid, which is the first international event of this year. Then during all of this, the winners are like getting championship points for the final event of the year. Then they come back and they have a stage 1, which is the first, the second regional event. Then whoever wins in that and the second and third place finish will go to Shanghai. They haven't yet. Now, whoever wins in Shanghai comes back, and then there's stage 3. Shanghai is an international event. Then there's a stage 3, which is like, stage 2, which is like the third regional event. And based on that and the previous performances, everyone will go to, I believe it's Tokyo, the final, or is it Seoul, North Korea? Oh, sorry, South Korea. It is North Korea. I'm sorry. Seoul, Korea. So that should be the final champions event. The other 2 are called Masters, the 2 international events that happen first, and they're like considered still highly, but like less than champions. Champions is like the world event. But this is what happens. So there are regional events, and then there is international events. Regional events are basically, other than the trophies, they're also for qualifying to the international events. Okay, so now I will talk about in detail the agents, and after that the one second. Yeah, so now I'll talk about the agents and then the VCT teams in detail. So if you want to, if you just wanted to hear about Valorant, this is it. Basically, you can you can just stop listening to this. But if you still want to listen to this, yeah, you can stay. So agents, I'll talk about this. So the first few agents that I'll talk about, actually this is not in any particular order. So Valorant has this thing where you have patch notes. Basically it gets updated and it changes a lot of things. Sometimes new agents are added, old agents have some updates that change them in certain ways, which makes it very difficult for things to like settle down. So everything is like changing all the time. But yeah, so there's Brimstone, who is a controller. Brimstone. Should I be talking about these in detail? I guess not really. I'll just name all the agents. So Brimstone, he's from America. He's a controller. Viper, right now she's one of the most played agents. Just got a nerf. Nerf being basically when you make a agent weaker or make anything weaker in general. Buff being when you make them stronger. So Viper is also a controller from United States. Omen is a controller from unknown origins. He's like dead or something. Killjoy is a sentinel from Germany. She is actually in a relationship with Reyes, who is from Brazil, which is like the first LGBTQ representation in in Valorant. Cypher is a sentinel from Morocco. Sova is an initiator from Russia. Sage is an sentinel from China. Phoenix is a duelist from United Kingdom. Jet is also a duelist from South Korea. Reyna is a duelist from Mexico, who was added in Valorant's release. Reyes is a duelist from Brazil, as I mentioned. Breach is an initiator from Sweden. Sky is an initiator from Australia. Yoru is a duelist from Japan. Astra is a controller from Ghana. KO is an initiator from alternate timeline Earth. He's a robot basically. Chamber is a sentinel from France. Neon is a duelist from Philippines. Fade is an initiator from Turkey. Harbor is a controller from India actually, which is my country if you didn't know. Gecko is an initiator from United States. Deadlock is a sentinel from Norway. Isa is a duelist from China, and Clove is a controller from United Kingdom. Clove, also I should mention, is the first, not first I guess, but an addition to the LGBTQ roster of agents in Valorant. They use the pronouns they them. Okay. So yeah. Now I will go on. As I've mentioned before, there are duelists who take fights, controllers who smoke, usually sentinels who hold sights and watch flanks. Flanks being like when someone comes behind you without you knowing, and initiators who break down sights. So basically, make it easier to go in sights. It's like a very complicated game of stone paper scissors. Usually teams will play 4 of these agents because as you might remember, there are 5 players, so they'll usually play 4 of these and then repeat one. Whichever one they repeat is usually different. It can be double duelist, double controller, double initiator. Double sentinel is very rare. Almost no one does that, but it does happen occasionally. And triple is even rarer because that means you're completely giving up on one of the agents. Triple initiator happened a couple of times, but and triple smokes happened like twice, but that's it. Okay, so now I'll talk about the VCT teams. Hopefully I have it ready somewhere. Actually, I forgot to open it up, but it's fine. Okay, so I should mention a bit of history before going into the teams themselves. 1 second. So basically, in the first year of Valorant's release, Valorant did not have a proper partnered system. I'll explain what that is. Basically, before that, anyone could join if they won an open tournament. They would get to go to an international event. Obviously, most of the people who won in that tournament were very, very good teams with good players. But after that year ended, after I think 2 years, Valorant introduced partner teams. So basically what partner teams is, it is Riot themselves chooses 10 teams from each region. So initially there were 3 regions, which is Americas, which consists of North and South America, then Pacific, which includes most of Pacific excluding China, and Russia and stuff, and EMEA, which includes EMEA has a full form actually. It's like East, Middle. Actually, let me look it up. I'll look it up quickly. But basically, EMEA, Pacific, and EMEA, Pacific, and Americas. These are the three regions. Europe, Middle East, and Africa. That's the EMEA's full form. So, these are the three regions, and they chose 10 teams. 10 organizations or 10 companies, you can say, from these three regions, totaling 30 teams, 30 organizations, and they chose these orgs as we call them for short, believing that they would be good at maintaining teams and maintaining a competitive environment. So now it's the responsibility of those orgs to pick players that they think will be good. Also, I forgot to mention this, but teams also consist of coaches and substitute players. Coaches obviously coaching them, but substitute players basically if someone is sick, or if they want to play a different agent or something, if they want to run a 6-man roster as it's called, substitute players are for that. So as I was saying, these 10 teams, now these 10 orgs are slowly settling on certain types of teams. Some teams have been together for a long time, some teams are just coming together. So I'll be talking about that now. Other than that, there's also Ascension. Basically, it's a lower tier 2 tournament which happens, and whoever wins in that organization just gets to join the partner teams. The partner teams, by the way, I think it's not obvious like why you would want to be a partner team, obviously, other than the fact that you get to play. The reason is that Riot being the game company that runs Valorant, they pay these teams to play. They pay these teams and they make stuff for them that they can profit from. So they have a huge incentive to play, and huge incentive for an Ascension team to win. Now again, I want to say Ascension team, the idea is that any 5 players can just come together and win this tournament. It's an open tournament, but these teams still, the teams don't get ascended, the organization does. So it's still an org benefiting thing. But the idea is that the org will keep the players who won Ascension. So 1 year has passed, so one ascended team from each region has emerged, which means there are a total of 33 teams now. I also didn't mention there is a new region, China, which has 10 teams of its own. I won't be talking about China because I really don't know anything and they're pretty new, so it's very hard to tell about them. There are 2 teams that I'll mention. So I will start from Pacific. So Pacific has Zeta Division. Zeta Division is the Japanese team of Pacific. There are other Japanese teams, but they are one of the best Japanese teams. They are one of the oldest rosters that have been together. They made a few changes previously. They were considered to be one of the weakest teams that make international events. They were still good regionally, but they would not do that much in international events. But this one international event 2 years ago, where they performed very, very well. So people have been hoping for that again. There is Detonation Gaming. Detonation Focus Me, as the full name is, DFM. DFM used to be last year they were the 0 win team. They got 0 wins out of all the games they played. It was 9 games. This year they looked very much better than last year. They actually got a win, and that win was very impressive. But since then they haven't gotten any wins. I think they might have gotten 1 win, but other than that I don't think they got any wins. And they're looking very good, and they look creative. They look like they have a lot to improve on, but they can do that, unlike last year, which looked very bad. Also last year was a completely different roster as well. This is a different roster, so basically they have changed teams, but still they look pretty good. The roster that they changed to, they were crazy raccoons during the first year of Valorant, but they still looked kind of bad, so it's still impressive what they have done. Then there is Genji. Genji last year was a mid-tier team, but this year they looked super good. One of the best teams in Pacific for sure. And they, in the last tournament that happened, they came second. Pacific so far has 0 trophies, 0 international trophies. So, and this year we are looking to like get one, and this year it looks like they will have the best chance to get one. So yeah, everyone is excited for that. Then there's T1. T1 is a team, is a full Korean team. Genji is also a Korean team. So T1 is the second Korean team. And Detonation focused me. DFM was a Japanese team, by the way. But yeah, T1 is a Korean team. They're struggling right now. They have been struggling for past year or so. And they're slowly improving, but the improvement is quite slow. We don't have high hopes for them, but if they keep improving, they might have a better chance at making international events and winning. So Genji is the first giant in Pacific. The second is DRX. DRX is the Korean team. They are the oldest Korean team. At one point, they were undefeated in like 100 matches or something. They have made a couple of roster changes because they didn't make any for so long that people got angry and they started losing. They used to be the team that always finished 4th in international events, but this year they are looking super revitalized, rejuvenated. They look very good, so we have high hopes for them as well. They're very similar to Genji, where like you consider them to be one of the best teams in this region. This Team Secret. Team Secret is also an old squad. They have been together for quite a long time, but they haven't been as successful. People have always like considered them to be like a very good team, but this year they're looking to be like they're still struggling because Pacific has 3 giants basically, and it's very hard to like get in international events in presence of these 3. So Team Secret have been struggling, but they have actually defeated one of the giants recently. So yeah. Paper X is the next giant. It's a Indonesian team, I believe, but it's a mixed roster. It has Russian players and stuff. Team Secret beat them recently. Paper X is a team. So DRX and Genji, both of these teams are known for like their calm, collected play. And all teams in general, like the best teams will be known for that only. But Paper X is a unique team in all of Valorant because they don't have an IGL. What an IGL is, an in-game leader. Basically, usually have a person who is not as good of an aimer, but they are very smart and they handle the team. Basically, they tell the team where to go, what to do. So basically, they manage the team like an orchestra. Paper X don't have that. They just have all the players just saying things all the time. It's a very unique environment. They play different comps. So comps being basically when a couple of agents come together and they have when a couple of agents on certain maps. Oh, I completely forgot to mention maps as well. On certain maps, you'll be playing certain comps, basically composition of different agents. Paper X play generally teams will have a certain composition of agents or comps that every team will play. There will be like 2-3 variations of that and people will play that. Paper X always do some weird stuff and they are one of the best teams. They are one of the most creative teams. They are one of the most favorite teams because they do that, because they make Valorant like fun to watch. So yeah, Paper X, one of the 3 giants in Pacific. RRQ, Rex Regem Kion. They are a team that some people have been high on. They have been looking pretty good, but they haven't proven it yet. So we are still looking forward to them doing that. Talon Esports. Talon Esports is a team that I am looking forward to because they look very good. They have a pretty good roster. Like the players look very good, but they have yet to like do something that is impressive. So we are still looking at them like, okay, this is also I think a mixed roster, but I think they might have a few Korean players. And last is Global Esports, which is the Indian team. They are also like improving slowly. And last year they were very bad. This year they're improving very slowly, but they're improving. They, like you can see the improvement. But it's still a long way before they do anything. The team that ascended this year was Bleed Esports, who got a player named Ye from Americas from last year. So Ye was on a team called Optic, which was the best team that year, and he was considered to be the best player that year. Like by far, no doubts, he was considered to be the best player. But ever since he joined Bleed, and the reason he joined Bleed because it's a very difficult thing for an American player to just change regions. But the reason for that was he got picked up by a team, and that team dropped him because of finance issues. So that was a huge hit to his career. He didn't play Valorant competitively for a whole year, and then he goes to Pacific because he just wants to play, and he's been very bad this year. Like, he has been playing like decently, but not to his level, like not to the level we know he can play. It can be attributed to a lot of things like coaching and stuff, but Bleed is that team. And Bleed has a couple of like very good players. One of the players from DRX who got dropped recently is also in the but they are not looking good. Like, I think they are one of the few teams with only one win across the whole tournament. Okay, so that's it for Pacific. The next is EMEA. So EMEA starts with Fnatic, the most loved team in EMEA. They have very sweet players and they have very good players. The players are very good as well. This is the first team in Valorant to ever get 2 trophies in a row. Like, not only did they get 2 trophies, which is the first for Valorant, they also got 2 trophies in a row. So 2 international trophies, I should clarify. So that's one thing. But they have been struggling for the past couple of tournaments. As I said, they were the best team last year. Like, everyone agrees that they were the best team last year, but they have been struggling a lot this year. So their coach also like kind of took a retirement thing briefly, so that might have caused that. But we're still seeing like where they go, because we know the players in this team are like world class, but they haven't been able to show it this year. So it's a team that we are looking to like come back basically. Then there is I'll just skip to Navi, which is my favorite team. Other than PaperX, I would say PaperX, Navi. Navi is my favorite team, then PaperX, maybe then Loud. So Navi is a team that has been together for a long time. They're the reason that I like them is they play very different comps. They are very creative, and their players are one of the best players and best looking players as well, which is weird to say. But they have one of the best looking. I mean, they have one of the best looking players, but they're one of the best players as well in their team. They play very creatively, they play very boldly, and I like them. They have won some regional tournament, they have won one international tournament, but that's it. And yeah, they look very good. Like, they always make it to international tournaments, they always look very good, except for the last one. They also look kind of bad in the first tournament, like similar to Fnatic, but they're looking much better right now. Next is Team Vitality. Oh my god. Okay, so Team Vitality, I'm saying oh my god because there are so many teams to talk about who like look very similar and they don't really have anything right now. Like, they don't have the uniqueness in them right now. So Team Vitality, this team is has some very good players, but they are looking very shaky right now. Like, sometimes they win matches that they should just never win. Oh my god, I forgot to explain the format of matches as well. Usually what happens is you play 3 maps, so a 7 map pool. You have like multiple maps in Valorant, but Valorant at one time only plays with 7. Like, competitive Valorant has only 7 maps in rotation, as it's called, and you get to ban and pick basically 3 maps. So whoever wins 2 out of those 3 maps wins, and then for the finals and semi-finals you have 5 maps that you play, so you have to win 3 maps to win. Anyways, so Team Vitality, like, they win some matches that they should never, but they also lose some matches in very bad ways. So it's looking like they need some time to like form themselves, like, you know, just calm down, just get ready, then they will probably look much better. Team Liquid has the same thing. Like, they have some of the best players in the world right now, but they look bad. Like, they, unlike Vitality who look bad sometimes, Team Liquid has been looking bad for like the past year, which is insane. So they have some of the best players, so we are definitely looking for them to like bounce back, but they constantly look bad, which is very shocking to me, honestly. And by the way, the coaches of Navi and Team Liquid are twin brothers. So that's one thing. But yeah, I'm really hoping for them to like bounce back and look good. But right now they are one of the worst teams in Valorant. Carmine Corp. So Carmine Corp has a history that last year they were one of the worst. They were the worst team by far, but they changed the roster completely except one person and the coach, and now they're looking like one of the best teams. They look like one of the best teams last tournament, but right now they're having some problems, like some deep rooted problems in like the way they play, so they're having to like change up stuff, but they're still looking like a better team than they're still looking like much better, like top 5 top 4 team for sure, in maybe not top 4 but like top 5 team in EMEA. Team Heretics is a team that has right now, in my opinion, 4 world-class players that have not proven themselves. Like four players who are like very new to Valorant, so very young as well. So they have a potential to be one of the best teams in the world, but they have also been losing matches that they shouldn't. I think it's a bit of like nervousness and like team being a new team, but and they had like one of the most like roster changes recently because like the players had some exams and stuff. So these are like young players, so they have like school exams or something, but now they are finished, and I mean they're finished, but they're still like last minute changes. So they have I think 1 match left, but it's still looking like this team could be one of the best teams in Valorant, but they need to prove it first. Like they need to like get that experience and show that they can persevere through it. The next is Koi. Koi is a team that also has some world champions winning players, some average players, but they look like one of the worst teams in Valorant right now. They are one of the 0 win teams in Valorant right now. I think they're one of the very few 0 win teams in Valorant. I think they are the one, and in Americas there are 2 teams. So out of 33 teams, they are the one of the 3 teams that are like 0 wins, which is shocking. And again, this team, I don't know what's wrong with this team, because even last year they looked this bad, and it shouldn't be like this, because this is not that bad of a team. Like they are pretty good players. They should at least be getting some wins. Not like this, but yeah. Then there's Giants X, as they are now known as. They are a team that has some decent players. Like they're a very average team. Like they're very decent players. They win some matches, they lose some matches. There's nothing exciting about them, but they're a very average team. Hopefully they'll show some new stuff as we go forward. They have some players that can be very exciting to watch, but so far they have been very average. There's Foot Esports. Foot, obviously, it's not the FOOT, it's a FUT, previously known as Footballis. So Foot Esports is one of the surprise teams for me. Like I didn't expect them to be this good. Like they looked good, but they are looking. It's a Turkish team. I think this is a Turkish team. Team Heretics is a Spanish team. Carmine Corp is a French team. And anything else? No, that's it. BBL Esports is also a Turkish team that I haven't talked about. I'll talk about both Foot and BBL. Foot and BBL Esports, these 2 teams looked decent last year. Like BBL was the 0 and 9 team last year, and Foot Esports were decent last year, but nothing crazy. But this year, both of these teams, they have made like 1 or 2 roster changes, and this year both of these teams are looking super good. Like they're looking like one of the best teams in EMEA right now, which is insane, because you wouldn't really expect that out of like teams that were so bad or mediocre last year, but they're looking super good right now. Both of these teams, they unexpectedly just won against teams that should never lose to them, and they're looking super good. The players are looking super sharp right now. Their Foot is especially creative, BBL is much more standard. So I'm excited to see how they play, and it should be fun. Okay. Lastly, there is the Ascended team, which is Gentlemates. Gentlemates is a French organization. They have very creative ideas, but and the coaches are some of the best, not best I guess, but some of the better coaches in EMEA right now. They are doing a lot of anti-stratting, which is like seeing what opponent you're going to play against and making a strategies specifically to counter them, anti-stratting. So they're looking very, very good right now. They certainly don't look like a team who can win anything anytime soon. Like they need to iron out a lot of stuff, but they are looking very, very good right now. So good for them. Again, this is ascended team, so you give them a lot of like a lot of leeway. So lastly, there's America's League, and this will be tiring to talk about because I know a lot about them compared to the other regions. 100 Thieves is legacy org, I'll just say, which means basically they have been a very old organization in esports in general, in Valorant specifically. They have retained one player, but who is Asuna, and this team has been one of the most like fan favorite team, but they haven't really won anything particularly important. They have won some off-season tournaments, but not anything very important or anything. People were very high on them last year, like in the beginning of last year, but they have been struggling the entirety of last year. This year, after a few roster changes, specifically their IGL changing, they have been looking much better. They have made playoffs for the next, playoffs for, I won't explain what this is, but basically they are looking very good right now, and they have been struggling a little bit here and there, but they are still looking to improve at a very good rate this year. So yeah, good hope for them. Sentinels is the most fan favorite team in Valorant. Like they are the face of Valorant esports. They have Tens, who is Tyson NGO, I think. I don't know how his last name is pronounced. Tyson Tens is the face of Valorant. He has been, I don't think by his consent, like he because being that popular means it comes with a lot of hate as well, and he had always gotten so much hate. He was the first player, well, his team was the first team to win an international event, and they did it by losing 0 maps, which has never happened since. It was early in Valorant, so it was understandable that teams would also not be as good, and as teams have improved, it has become more and more difficult to win a tournament. That was just a message I received, so ignore that if you heard that. But yeah, Valorant has been, okay, sorry, I had to go somewhere. But as I was saying, Valorant since has become much more difficult, but he was the best player in that tournament without any doubt. But since then, so this was 2020 or 21, I don't remember, maybe 21. This was 2021. Since then, he has not won a single international event. Since that year ended, he has not attended a single international event. So Sentinels has a history. Like after that, they could not, like they were just never good again. Last year when they got franchise, like last year when they got franchise, they made a lot of roster changes, and it was very struggling. Like it was looking like a huge struggle, and you saw them like struggle to win anything, struggle to make it anywhere. But last month, they attended an international event finally, and they won it. So it's like a fan favorite team, as I said, and it was a resurgence of them winning the tournament. So everyone is super excited for them. They're struggling right now, but it's mostly to do the format that they won a tournament and they have to come back and play immediately, and they have playing against teams that didn't go to that Madrid, the tournament. So they rested and they practiced, and they were ready for them to come back and ready to play against them. So it's an excuse that is valid, like them losing this time. But they're still looking very good. They still have a lot of like good players, and it's looking very good for them. Okay, so I'll the next is Cloud9. Cloud9 is an organization that has mixed, let's say. They have one player who has stayed the whole time, but this is the team, by the way, who dropped EA, like who had financial problems and dropped like a couple of players. Right now their team is looking like a very rough looking team, like not rough like a bad, but like not as organized, and they're looking pretty good, I would say. Like they're looking I think they have the best chance of making playoffs this time, and they're looking very good. Like but not like a world class level. Like America is by far the toughest region according to many people, and I agree. But for sure, Cloud9 they are mostly relying on like one player performing very well, which is fine, which is not bad necessarily, but it might come back to like haunt them at some point. NRG is the team that I hate. Like I don't really like to hate on things or people, but I don't know why, I just hate them. So NRG is a team that was dubbed a super team when they were formed because they have 5 championship winning players. But the problem is that they don't have a good IGL, and I predicted this like 3 weeks before anything happened that this will be a bad team, and I was right. Like they are looking like one of the worst teams right now in Valorant. Not in Valorant, but like in the region. They're not even the worst team. Like when they win against teams, they win very, very cleanly. Like they win very well. But because they don't have an IGL, and because this is a team of players that I think need some sort of like direction and creativity, this team looks very dry right now. Like they don't have good system, they don't have a good direction. When you look at them play, it looks like they don't know what they're doing, which is shocking. So yeah, I think NRG is a team that everyone was super high on, but right now everyone is like disappointed at them, which is funny because as I said, I predicted this would happen like very, very long ago. So yeah, Evil Geniuses. So last year, basically when they were franchised, they were like the butt of the joke. Like they didn't make any big roster changes, and they had a 10-player roster. Basically, 5 would play in the tournaments, and other 5 would play against them in. So basically, to practice with them. So as I was saying, they were the butt of the joke. They were like, okay, this team can't do anything. Like they didn't get any good players or anything. They look bad basically. So they are not going to win anything. But last year, and the head coach of Evil Genesis is Potter. She's a very wonderful woman. She used to play as a player, but recently, I think last year, maybe 2-3 years ago, she went to become a head coach. She's one of the, as far as I know, she's the only woman in VCT as a player or a coach. There's no women players right now in VCT, and she's the only woman coach that I know of. There are casters and analysts and stuff who are women, but no head coaches. So Potter was working with this team that everyone was making fun of because they looked like they were not a good. They weren't players that had ever performed very well in international tournaments, but they slowly improved. At the beginning of the year, they were like the 0-win team, but they slowly started winning, and they got close to defeating Fnatic at one of the tournaments. And at the end of the year, they won the champions event. That was one of the most shocking revelations ever, like one of the most shocking moments in Valorant history. A team that everyone was basically making fun of for the whole year, winning the at the end of the year, and they look like one of the best teams ever. Unfortunately for Potter, the organization itself is a pretty bad organization because they don't have money or whatever, I don't know, but they dropped every single player except one. So out of the 5 players that they had, plus the reserve roster, they dropped every single player. So only one remained. So I'll just mention that their IGL went to 100 Thieves, who are looking decent right now. Their 2 of their players went to NRG. One of them who doesn't know how to IGL, who is the IGL of NRG, which is a big reason why they are looking bad right now. And their Duelists are basically the star players. I didn't mention this, but Duelists are basically the star players of Valorant. So they went to NRG, and NRG are looking very bad right now. And the last remaining player went to Leviathan, which I'll talk about later. So Evil Geniuses, they dropped all their players, right? And now they were using the rest, like remaining players that they had last year. Obviously the idea is that these players, from the organization's point of view, these players are like cheaper to have, so you can pay less and run a team. Potter is the only one they kept, like the coach and the one player. this team, everyone is again like they are not going to win anything. They are going to be the bottom. They are never going to win anything. And they started off pretty bad. Like they played very badly. They had some issues. But right now they have defeated NRG and Sentinels. Sentinels being the Madrid winners, obviously, and Madrid winners. I think I didn't mention this, but Sentinels won the last tournament. NRG being a team that looked very good, but they still have players who can shoot very well. Like they are very good aimers. So being able to like and obviously he's also playing against his own teammate from last year's. So being able to win against them, everyone is praising EG again. And this time, and last year this also happened, but this time even more than that, people are praising Porter, and I'm so happy for that because there are no female coaches, there are no women in general in Valorant. Like there's no women players. There's a whole separate like league for women players, but not in VCT, not in the main league. There are no women coaches other than Porter. I am shocked and appalled by how this can be. And obviously there's a lot of reason for this. I think I mentioned this before, but at least there's been one report of like a woman, Mel Melanji. She got denied a spot in a VCT team because one of the players felt uncomfortable, which is mad to hear as well, playing with a woman, that is. But yeah, this is sad, but at least Potter is getting the recognition she deserves. I'm unbelievably happy for her. And yeah, I'm just excited to see more of this because EG, like the more I look at them, the more I see Potter. Like you see the coach's vision, and right now in Valorant, everyone agrees that Potter is a superstar maker. She's the #1 coach, and I'm happy for that. Like I'm happy for that. This needs to happen more. and by the way, one of this, I guess this is not the right place to talk about this, so I won't. But someone was. You know what? I'll just leave this for my book because this is supposed to be about Valorant, so I'll keep it to that. Furia is a team that looked decent last year, but they are looking like one of the worst teams this year, surprisingly, because they have pretty good players in my opinion. One of the bigger problems with this team right now is I think they don't have any motivation to win, which can happen, and that's understandable, but they need to come back. This is a Brazilian team, I should say. All the other teams that I've mentioned so far have been North American. This is the first Brazilian team we have heard of. And they have pretty good players, but they just look like flattened right now. Like one of the matches they played last few matches, they literally, it looked like they just wanted to lose and go home. And it's understandable because they are like living in a place away from home. Like they're a Brazilian team who are living like wherever the matches are happening in North America, like Los Angeles or something. So that's a problem. Like Los Angeles or Las Vegas, I'm not sure. Ever since I heard like in a Barbie movie that like Los Angeles or something is like not real, I have been confused, and my geography is bad. But yeah, so wherever they're living, like they're living away from home, which could be very tough for them. So yeah, hoping that they come back like next split or whatever. But right now they're looking like one of the worst teams for sure. Loud, as I said, could be one of my favorite teams. They are one of the more creative teams in Valorant. They have a very good IGL. This is a team with my favorite teams. Like they are very good IGLs. Loud, Navi, PaperX don't have an IGL, but like the hive mind of PaperX. Loud, they had Aspas last year, who was considered to be one of the best players, and I have been seeing Aspas and I was never really that impressed with him. But the more I look at him and the more I play the game, I realize what his strength is. His strength isn't that he's amazing or anything. His strength is how much better he is than everyone at all times. Like he's been playing the game since he was 3 years old. Not Valorant obviously because it wasn't released, but like Counter-Strike, which is the basis of Valorant. That is nuts. Like that explains everything. Like why he's so good. Obviously he's so good. He's been playing the game since he was 3. So yeah, he has a very unique skill, talent in this game, which is hard to match. But so he got removed from Loud last year, and he went to a different team, which I'll talk about later. But he went to a different team, and Loud now picked up a different player, QCK, and they have been looking very rough this year. Like, I think they have won very few matches. They went to Madrid and they came fourth, but that was a very easy route for them. And when they came back, they started losing to everyone. The only matches they won was against Sentinel somehow. But more importantly, they have been looking bad. Now they're improving slowly. Now they're looking like they're getting back in form. It is already too late for them to make playoffs, but at least they're looking like they can come back in form and they can be good. So that's good for them. Loud has very good players. I think two of Loud's players actually went to Sentinels. One of who is benched right now. I think he can be picked up by other teams, but right now he's just benched. And the other is in the main roster. So next is MIBR, made in Brazil. They have some decent players, but they have been struggling as well. All Brazilian teams right now are struggling. Even Loud, as I mentioned. Everyone was struggling from Brazil. There was 0-9 at one point. Like, everyone played 3 matches and everyone lost every 3 matches. But right now, at least Loud is looking a bit better. MIBR is looking bad still, but they can come back. We know that they can. They are a good team. Crew Esports is a LATAM team. LATAM being like, what does LATAM actually mean? I'm not sure. LATAM. Just a second. LATAM. 1 second. Just looking it up. It's showing LATAM Airlines. Latin America. Oh my god. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. So Latin America. Basically, I think Crew specifically is from. What's it? How is it pronounced? Is it Chile or Chile? I'm not sure. That country, basically the long Chile-looking country. So, LATAM. The Crew is a LATAM team, and they are looking like they have historically been a decent team with very good players. But this tournament, everything seems to be coming together for them because they're looking very, very good right now. Unexpectedly very good. And they are actually the first top seed right now, and they're looking like they looked super good in the tournament they played. I think they are 5-0 right now. So they won 0 matches in total, which is I don't think any other team has done that in throughout all of VCT. Maybe DRX is it? Actually, I need to check this. Maybe DRX is the only other team that's 5-0. Wait, I'm sorry, I'm going on this small tangent. Just hopefully this will be short. Hopefully, let me just quickly. I'm sorry for this again, but I'll just continue talking about them. So LATAM team, they are also like a old team that has been there for quite a long time. They have been since Valorant started. They haven't made that many changes, so they're pretty much the same team. They're a very basic team. Like it's not like they are. It's not like they are. As I said, they haven't done it. I think they haven't like won an international event at all. So far, the teams that have won international events, I should actually go back and mention this to you. 1 second. Also, just to clarify, I was right. DRX is the only other team who had won any international events. Who is 5-0 right now. So I'll go back and mention from Americas and Pacific and EMA who has won international events after franchising, because before franchising those teams aren't here. So EMA Fnatic has won international event. Navi has won in the past before franchising, and that's it. From Americas, we have seen Sentinels win an international event, Evil Geniuses win an international event, and that's it. And Loud has historically won international events, but that's it. That doesn't does that even match up? So Fnatic won 2 last year, and then Evil Geniuses won. But before that, was there anything before that? I guess not. So 2023 was the first of this format, and then we had 2024 this year. So Sentinels has won. Okay, yeah, that matches up. Okay, so continuing with Crew Esports, they're looking super good right now. They have been in form, and they have been, I wouldn't say lucky necessarily, but they have surely been given the good hand in terms of like the teams they played. And it's not like they have played in easy teams, keep in mind, but they have played teams that they have been able to destroy, and that's very good. So they have built up a lot of confidence going into the playoffs. Last team is Leviathan. So Leviathan last year was a very basic team. They had some creative ideas, but they were one of the more standard teams, one of the most boring teams to watch, to be honest. But this year they decided to make a multinational roster. This is also a LATAM organization, but they made a multinational roster with, as I said, one player from Evil Geniuses last year, Aspas from Loud, who is the biggest pickup, and one player is from Germany, I believe, and other players from LATAM. So this team is looking like one of the best teams in Americas right now. Even better than Crew. Like they look super good. They look super good in form. They are looking very strong right now. So super excited to see them play. Super excited to see how far they can go. But yeah, usually this doesn't happen in Valorant. And the last team is G2 Esports, who is the Ascended team. They haven't won anything yet, but they do look very good and they do have very good players. But yeah, okay. So this is it for Valorant. I'm very excited to see what happens. Right now, we are waiting for playoffs of each regions, and after that playoffs, they'll be going to Shanghai for the next international event. Hope that you got some valuable information. I did not mean it to be 1 hour long. I did not. But well, at least I covered up most of the important things that I thought would be there in the first 10 minutes or whatever. Which is, I think, more important. But yeah, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing good. And see you later. If you listen to this, I hope you have some excitement for the teams. But yeah, do look up a couple of the players. I'll say the player that I think looks the best in the game is Sugetsu from Navi. He's spelled SUYGETSU. So yeah, look him up, and yeah, see you later. Also, I'll just mention this briefly. The players who I know who have girlfriends or wives, at least who I know, like many of them do have, but I just don't know. But I'll mention the ones who I know. Boaster has a wife. He's from Fnatic, the IGL of Fnatic. Sadhak from Loud, and he has a wife. I'm pretty sure Angel from Navi also has a wife. I just don't know. Chronicle from Fnatic also has a wife. I believe Shao. I can't be sure, so I won't say anything else. Aspas has a wife or a girlfriend. I'm not sure. I think it's his wife, which is kind of sweet. Demon One has a girlfriend. Who else? It's hard to remember. Tense has a girlfriend. How did I forget that? Kaide, who is also a streamer, supports him a lot. They went through some rough stuff recently, like real life stuff, but they're doing pretty good from what I can see so far. Sasi has a wife. But yeah, that's it for now. I think I'll see you later and take care. Bye bye.